What's happening, everybody? Thank you for being here at All Access Live with Kevin Rankin. Completely different setup than we normally do. This is live recording, but we're backstage at one of my favorite venues in the entire place, entire country, at least, Mountain Winery in Saratoga. As we are talking right now, there's a sound check that's about to happen with maybe Animotion, I think, but without those guys even to consider. If it gets loud, we'll just talk louder. One of the most fun bands that we've gotten to tour with, and we're very, very fortunate. We've got musical youth here today. So I'm going to turn the camera and look at who I've got here.
Oh, we get it right.
That's right. People think there's crazy stuff that go on in a dressing room.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah.
This is like all the things, the illicit things that could be compromising in a backstage dressing room. We hid them off camera.
Yes, got to.
Well, why don't we do this, man? You want to introduce yourselves? And what do you do?
Well, my name is Dennis Seaton. I'm lead singer.
My name is Mike Grant. I'm the keyboard player.
That's right. And these guys, if you've passed the Dutchie ever in your life, then you did that because there you go, right there. Guys, we first met on the Lost 80s Live Tour a couple years ago, right?
About 4 or 5 years ago.
It was it was just before the pandemic.
Yes.
Like the year before the pandemic.
Yes.
A lot has happened between then and now, right?
Yes, it has.
One thing that I feel like I'm celebrating this year, we lost a couple of beautiful members, right, from the bands that we toured with before.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know about for you guys, but you can tell me if it's this way for you. I feel like it just allowed me to celebrate every day like there's no tomorrow, right?
Definitely.
And I think we're older than you. So we have to appreciate.
Well,
we have to appreciate it more.
I think I might have put more years on than it looks. My mom told me she's 82. She said, "I know that you've lived more than 82 years in that period." You don't have to get out your age, but I will say, man, your guys' musical career started at a really young age. You guys were just kids, right? When the track came. So Pass the Dutchie was the big hit that everybody knows.
Yes.
What year was that? 82?
That was 82 in England.
Okay.
And then 83 here.
Okay, so it actually struck in England before the U.S.
Yes.
All right. What did success look like in the first year before the U.S. took off?
Oh, wow. It was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you hear a song and you go, they must have known they were recording a hit.
Yeah.
You get that feeling.
Sure.
You know, when we recorded Dutchie, it was about this time that it was released in 1982.
Okay.
We were just going back to school because we recorded it in the summer of 82.
Yeah. So in summer break,
that's right. Recorded the video. Everything had to be done.
Yeah.
And when we went back to school, we said, we're not going to say anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Say nothing.
If it was a failure, no one would know. So we say nothing. So we went back to school.
And was this Manchester?
No, this is Birmingham.
Oh, yeah. I know there's a big rivalry there.
They're 80 miles north of us.
And we talked because you came to Birmingham.
Yes, I came to the Birmingham gig.
Yeah. We saw each other a year ago for our tour. It's September.
Yeah.
You showed up back, and I was completely surprised. I was like, what the hell are you doing here, man?
Libya.
So you're from Birmingham.
Yeah.
All right. So the home of Peaky Blinders.
Yes.
That's right. Yes.
Amongst other things.
And
Ozzy Osbourne.
Stevie Wood. Oh, yes,
Stephen Wood is from Birmingham.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
From Aston. B6.
Yeah, and his hits were really happening about then too.
Keep on running.
Yeah, man. So you were kids. You were on summer break. Who were your influences? Who were you listening to? I know Black Sabbath must have been.
Right.
Dixie's Midnight Runners.
Oh, yeah. Come on and leave.
No, tell the truth, Michael.
Yeah. Michael, who was your influence? Biggest?
Oh, gosh. My influence obviously was Bob Marley. I was a big Marley fan.
Yeah.
And my mother wanted to be a concert pianist, so I used to play like this. And then when I heard Tyrone Downey playing like this, I was like, what the heck is this? So my mom was so mad at my dad because he brought home Bob Marley's album Exodus in 77, I think it was.
His fault.
And and so that changed my whole musical thing. And then I started getting into the bands like The Police and Roxanne and stuff because they were doing reggae too.
Yeah.
So my influences were obviously from Jamaica and Sly and Robbie and all of those guys. But then from a British point of view, we had Sting from The Police and we had
Steel Pulse,
Aswad, and all of that.
Yeah. I got Steel Pulse in Birmingham as well.
They're from Birmingham.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get to see bands like that live before you actually went to the studio?
So my influences are Bob Marley, obviously, and Stevie Wonder. But the first band I went to see live before I joined the band, was a musical youth supporting the beat.
Really?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
No, no.
Man. Wow. Who's actually on this tour right now?
Yes,
right?
yes, Dave's on this tour.
Wow. So you've seen Wavelength that far back?
That far back.
Wow.
I mean, the whole origins of Music Youth is a real funny story, because when we had our first audition, the only one we had, but the first one, we were my mum made sandwiches and everything for people to turn up or whatever, and Dennis walked in and he sang, and we were like, next. And no one else turned up. Literally nobody else turned up.
You were the only person that showed up for that.
Yeah, but there's a caveat. There's a caveat. The drummer was my best friend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But we told everybody. There was a lot of, and I'll tell you how I know we told everyone. When we got back home after the Pastor Dutchie big number one, so many parents knocked on my parents' door by my house. Mr. Grant, my son was sick that day. He's ready to audition.
Yeah, sure. Funny how that happens.
Exactly. So we had a queue of people knocking on our door, and my dad's like, "It had nothing to do with me. You knew the audition date." Yeah. And they were so horrible to our parents, because they're like, "No, let's do the audition again. Let's do this audition." I was like, "What, the band's up and running?" Yeah, seriously.
Do you remember what you auditioned with?
No.
Well,
no.
Because Musical Youth, there hadn't been a single that was released, right? So were you just picking out like Marley tunes, saying, "Come down, show up," and do it?
In fact, because me and the drummer were best friends, I went to the very first rehearsal of the band.
Yeah.
And I was banned from all the other rehearsals.
Yeah. Why?
Because the drummer and bass player's dad banned me from it.
Oh,
He was controlling, he was musical director.
Yeah.
And he controlled it. And he was in his house.
Yeah.
So I had no choice. So I had to stay outside.
Yeah.
You stay out the window and peek in.
Yeah. And the band had already recorded a single with the dad singing lead.
That's right.
Dad, of course.
Yeah.
He's got Calvin would have been 10.
Yeah.
Michael, you would have been 12.
12 years old.
Yeah.
Then Junior was 14 and Patrick was 13.
Oh my God.
So they were gigging then, and I used to go to the gigs.
So Dad was managing the band's music.
Yeah.
So did he have musical connections?
He was, Fred Waite Senior, his name is. He was in the Techniques in Jamaica.
Okay.
He's a Jamaican.
Yeah.
But he could play guitar and keyboard and sing.
Yeah.
He was one of the only guys I knew. He was almost ahead of Prince, because he used to play lead guitar and sing.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
It's hard. Yeah, but not many people do that.
No.
Yeah.
That's right.
Was he influential in writing the music then? I mean, if he had all this, so he was, because you guys were kids, right?
Yeah,
so he did lay down beds and sing a single on top of this.
What he would say is, we used to perform all the reggae hits of the day.
Okay, yeah.
And that's how it came back that we got to record Past the Dutchie, which we converted from Past the Cutchie.
Oh, that was the original track.
Original track was Past the
Cutchie.
Which is a big old bong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rastaman used to pass to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a big hit in the UK for a group called the Mighty Diamonds. And then we supported Culture Club.
Okay.
At Heaven, which was the biggest gay club in London. And if you think about gay clubs in the 80s.
Oh, no bigger. No bigger.
There's no bigger. It's still one of the biggest there now. But there was about 3,000 people at the venue.
You guys were kids.
Yeah, we were kids.
Oh my God. So, wow, there's an eye-opener.
The record company came down to the show. I'll never forget it, because it was there was a rail and tube strike in London. You know what London's like.
It's on top of the
rail and tube strike. Nothing's moving.
Right.
And it took us ages to get there. And when we performed Past the Cutchie, the audience went absolutely nuts. They went nuts.
And they hadn't heard it yet?
No. We had, listen, it wasn't even decided, because before that, we'd been recording with Funboy 3, so Neville, Lynn Val, Terry from Funboy 3.
Yeah.
And we were in the studio for the week, weren't we?
Exactly. That's right.
But it never happened.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
They had Lunatics out at the time.
Yeah.
You know Lunatics.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, so that never happened. And the A&R guy, he was in the audience, and when he saw us strike up that song, he said, I remember him bending down and saying, "Listen, that song, Past the Cutchie, is there any way you could change the lyric?"
He knew. This is
we knew.
Yeah, you knew that. Yeah, you can't see it on radio internationally, right? Like, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we were actually, back then they used to demo the album, which is, you go and record your album, they play it to their, but what I get to find out, they play it to their marketing department and then work it out. We took 2 weeks to record the album.
The whole record. Okay.
Well, Past the Dutchie itself took us 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 days to record. And then they went away, and they used to splice tape then.
Yeah.
So they used to go from 2-inch to quarter-inch, mix it to quarter-inch, and then splice it together because we couldn't play it the way the producer wanted us to play it.
Really?
So the way you hear it on the record is not how we played it.
So how much different was it?
Well, you have to get the 12-inch version.
Yeah.
If you get the long, the 12-inch version, that's how we recorded it.
Oh, really? Okay, right on.
So that's exactly how we recorded it.
That's probably worth some money too. Somebody out there, they probably have those original.
There's one or two 12 inches out there somewhere. And then,
Were you happy with how it turned out though, compared to what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we were totally, look.
Happy all the way to the bank.
No, we never ever thought about the money.
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever said to us, do you know how much money you can make?
Yeah.
Well, it's kids too. You always hear about kids being taken advantage of by management.
That's another story.
Yeah.
But that,
Part two.
Yeah, but that what Dennis is saying is the essence of it. We were kids, and obviously, I just wanted to be in a band, just like Dennis. You just want to play in a band, and because we were in those days, there were lots of bands. Unlike today, where there's lots of singers, and everybody's a singer. In those days, everybody was in a band,
Right.
so we just wanted to be the best band that we could be, or you know what I'm saying. So we just joined the band. Now we could have joined any of those bands, you know what I'm saying, because the bands were people in and out of bands all the time.
Yeah, I hear.
So our band, you know what I'm saying. So if we had wanted to play jazz, rock, whatever, we could easily go into any band because they were all welcoming, and the way our Birmingham is diverse, we could have been anywhere we want. But Musical Youth was what we decided to stay together with, and the rest, as I say, is history. But there was a lot of bands around, so the fact that we are successful. I mean, I'm a God-fearing man. Dennis is too, so we can only put it up to God because there's no other reason why. Because there was loads of bands playing at the same time, doing the same thing, playing the same music, and why this particular track took off so big, only God knows.
Was there? I mean, that's the thing with a lot of artists, right? Because so many singles were coming out at that point.
That's right.
I talked to this a lot with Mike, with our singer from Flock. At that point, I mean, he attributed a lot of their success to touring with the Police.
Yes.
Because once they came to the U.S. with the Police on the Synchronicity tour, boom, everything took off. And Miles Copeland was their manager. So they had that connection. And that was a big part of it. But for you guys, having some management with some contact and that kind of thing might have helped. But there had to be somebody out there, people that just said, I see something special about it.
Well, what happened was John Peel was the big thing for us.
Okay.
Because all the A&R guys used to listen to John Peel. So when we recorded Dutchie, he was one of the first to play.
Yeah.
And
there
was Radio 1, Radio 2, BBC 1, BBC 2, ITV. That was it.
Yeah.
There wasn't even MTV.
Sure, so you just had 5 sources to get your...
And I know on the Saturday morning, even when we recorded the video, we never even thought about it. Yeah. Don Letts just said, right, I want you to do this.
Well, there was no budget. You could tell me that.
Well, no, there was a budget.
Well, but not much.
Well, the budget would have been relative to the size of the band or the type of success they were expecting the band to have.
Okay.
Because the record company, which was MCA, which is now Universal, they never expected it to do anything.
Oh, yeah. No. So they were it was a development deal almost. They were just taking a chance on you.
They never had development deals then. You either had a deal or you didn't.
But I mean, they didn't expect. Right?
No, they didn't expect.
But a little bit of investment then. See what you gamble, roll the dice, and see what takes off.
I mean, the A&R guy told me, because he became he joined from A&M Records to MCA.
Yeah.
And he told me that, because they used to have it in levels, so the bottom level was press, I believe, and photos, photographers, marketing. Then you go up the level, then you go up the level, then you go up the level, then the MD's at the top.
Yeah.
And he said he used to leave his door open and people used to come from wherever marketing was, come down and look at this guy who signed this young band, laugh and run back up.
Really?
Yeah, he told me that story.
Well, he told you later, right?
Right. So obviously, when the single went to number 1, it jumped, you see, because in England, back then, the charts used to come out on the Tuesday.
That's right.
You do your promo and stuff on the Saturday and the weekend.
Yeah.
And we did a couple of shows.
That's right.
And the video appeared on one children's show.
Yeah.
And then
it was a children's show.
How funny is that,
right?
That's the Dutchie. Kids show. Kids show.
And you had changed the name. Obviously, you recorded the Dutchie.
Yeah. But the guy who was the producer, who sadly passed away, he was He produced Yes.
Oh yeah.
And he produced for Bon Jovi. He's produced for Rush.
Yeah, Peter Collins.
Peter Collins. Yeah, he passed away recently.
Yeah, so
Peter Collins.
Peter Collins passed away recently.
I didn't realize that's who produced the record.
Yes, he produced the record. He produced that 2 albums.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, that is a step up because there's production wise. I don't think he did anything that was half-assed, right?
Well, he taught us a lot.
I bet.
And he was very strict in certain things.
Was he?
Oh yeah.
What was the toughest thing he did in the studio?
He made sure the diction was right.
Yeah.
And
timing as well.
And timing.
Okay,
so the drummer used to have to play with a click.
Yeah.
And his philosophy was, if I have to splice, wherever I splice, it's going to be in time.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
This is pre all of the advantages we have now. All the digital and Cubase and all of that stuff where you can play whatever you want and quantize it and new stuff. Oh my
that
God.
takes time.
Yeah.
The editing.
That was taking time. Yeah.
You as you said, so you did. Saturday was the time that you actually did the promo stuff.
Yeah.
How long did it take the record to come
so
out?
the Tuesday came out. It came out the week before.
Yeah.
Okay.
He went in at 80 something.
Yeah.
Then it jumped to 26.
But the thing was, we got to 55 yet. But,
That's right.
But the point we have to make is that in those days, you could move up the charts. Now, today, your biggest chart position is your first week of release.
Oh,
That's right.
But in those days, you could move up the charts.
Sure.
So we sold enough records to get to 55. And so word started going around Buzz. But in England, we couldn't get on Top of the Pops because the Top of the Pops was the top 30.
Oh.
Now, that was BBC Top of the Pops. We had... there's only 3 stations, ITV, BBC One, BBC Two. So BBC had something like 70 million people would be watching that. But you can't get on it unless you're in the top 30.
Sure.
Top 40. Top 30. It's top 30 then. It's top 40 now, or was top 40, but it's top 30.
Sure.
So we got to 55, and then that week, the buzz started going around. People started talking about it. So the record company told us that, people are talking about it, it's moving on the chart. Then following week, we got to 26. Well, that was crazy because that meant we could do the pops.
Yeah, we didn't do it, did we? They played the video.
We didn't
play the video because we'd used up all that, because the education department got involved. We'd used up all our allocated dates. We only had to work 40
So you couldn't get out of school?
No.
Listen,
you couldn't do Top of the Pops because you couldn't get out of school.
Listen, if we could have toured, Music Crews would have been so big. We could not tour. We only had 42 dates a year to tour. Now imagine you're trying to make a career and you've only got 4. That's like you can only tour for just over a month, a year. Now everybody else, when it's call them, I don't know, the police, they could tour the whole year,
of course,
18 months. And they did, of course.
Yeah.
We could only tour for 42 days. We didn't stand the chance.
So the video replaced what you would have done.
Replaced it. But the good news about the video, when it came out, people were like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Never seen it.
Right.
And people were buying records those days. And I remember one particular guy said to me, listen, I wanted to support you guys so much, I bought a record for each member of my family.
Wow.
So he bought like 5 records for his kids.
Nice.
Seriously. So the following week, it went from 26 to number 1.
No. In 3 weeks, you guys went.
Yeah.
Opening, 55, 26, number 1.
Yeah.
Number 1 for 3 weeks in the UK.
Oh,
absolutely
man.
crazy.
Stayed there.
So this is the question that everybody probably asks you, but when you heard the song on the radio, when you heard it went number 1, your kids, right? But you had, were your dreams even...
No,
because you can't dream of that.
We never put the single out. Remember, we put it out and said, don't say anything.
So
the kids in school don't even know that...
Well, they knew when we left, when it went to 26, the buzz went around the school, but we'd gone off to record the album.
Okay.
So we were actually recording the album.
Yes.
Using your 46 days of allocation for...
We were there, and they called us. We looked at the newspaper. It said it was number 7.
Yeah.
I was all right. Yeah, 7's fine.
Fine.
We get to the studio at 10 o'clock in the morning. We get a phone call to say, "You guys are number 1." No.
Yeah, just
we don't believe you.
Sure.
Inside.
Yeah.
So they said, "Right, listen to the radio." We stopped recording. Yeah. Went upstairs. Yeah. Got through. When they announced it, it was just like pandemonium.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But when we had the party for getting to number 1, that was the cheapest party any record company.
Really?
Well, they weren't bringing us any alcohol.
I was just going to say, well, I wondered about it because you're singing about material. You're singing about weed.
No. So, Kev, let's get this right.
No, I heard the story about how it's not about weed. That it's actually
about weed.
It's about the cooking pot. The cooking pot.
Yeah. And we could. You see, the logic is, if we were ever singing about drugs,
Yes.
it would have been banned.
Sure. Yeah.
It would never have happened.
You worked that out.
I didn't know if this was a cover story. The Cooking Pot was actually a cover story for
Never a cover story.
All right. So you're singing about legitimate stuff. It's cool. You're not incriminating yourself or anything. And the record company is not having to sneak in alcohol.
No.
Even for the executives or anybody that's there.
Well, the executives had champagne.
All right.
We had McDonald's, Kentucky, pies.
Really?
Yeah.
Which is what kids that age need to be having, man. When you're celebrating your party, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
We didn't even have Domino's.
No.
Yeah, not those days. Yeah.
Not those days.
McDonald's, of course, man. I love that. Between the span of ages, you had guys from 12?
No, 11. Calvin was 11.
11.
Okay.
Yeah.
13, 14, 15, and 15.
Unbelievable, man. And so you said the record was number 1 for 3 weeks, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. The expectation from record labels is you got to have another hit.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, which is
Remember, we'd already recorded the second album, the first album.
Yeah.
So that was recorded. So they always used to take singles off as a lead for the album.
Sure.
Then we released Youth of Today.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What you doing on this tour as well?
No, we don't do Youth Today on this tour. That went to number 13.
Yeah.
The next one after that, which we wanted to release, was Never Gonna Give You Up.
Okay.
We do that on this tour.
Yes, that's it. Okay.
That got to number 6 in the UK.
Oh, great.
And then...
Did it... Okay, go ahead.
Go on.
I was just going to ask about the comparison then, because the U.S., you'd established so much success in the U.S.
Right, so the US now, it's only as we look back in hindsight. The first thing was we came in, MTV started playing the video.
That's right.
The first black artist to be played on MTV before Michael Jackson.
No kidding. The very first.
And it's only in hindsight that we look at it. And we actually went into into MTV's studios in New York and did an interview.
Do you remember who the interview was?
I can't remember. I can't remember who the VJ was. But we actually did an interview. And then I'm not saying,
and then I mentioned that my favorite album at the time was Synchronicity. And we had the opportunity to tour with
wow.
police. But the idiots at the record company, well, it's not their fault too, but because of our date, we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
We couldn't tour with the police.
We were due to do a tour with Kid Creole and the Coconuts, but we couldn't do it because the single had gone to number 1. And
you can't put an opening number 1. Besides like the police you mentioned, I mean, obviously UB40 was at that point. At that point, MTV was brand new.
Yeah,
so that's right.
I know, like those first videos you had. I know ZZ Top had said like
Buggles.
The Buggles, of course. That was number 1, the very first band. But I remember there was a mix. You had some hard rock stuff, those were the days for me too. Roller skating to those days, and seeing, of course, Fire Eagles when that first popped. Mike had mentioned this too. You didn't expect music TV to sort of dictate the success of a band.
Yeah, that's right.
But the visual thing was so powerful.
Remember, we didn't in England. We didn't have MTV like that,
right?
No.
Yeah.
You guys had it on cable.
Yeah, right. So
you guys had it. When we came to record the second album, we were out here in LA, at Landshare Studios. Yeah. And we just had MTV on. We didn't have mobile phones. We didn't have games. We didn't have PlayStation.
All day long.
All we had was to play music.
Yeah.
Prank each other.
Yeah, right. What a great way to grow up, though. I mean, in both ways, because you look at young artists, and sometimes it really messes them up, right?
But also, we were a natural band. We were put together.
Sure,
that's right.
It's not like a boy band.
It was natural, organic. The roots go deep,
and we could play. And we could definitely play.
Yeah.
So we were having a whale of a time. And I suppose as an adult now, you look back and you look at the people we had around us and you feel, if only we had sensible people around us, because we were doing our job. Yeah. It's just the people around us weren't doing their job. Do you know what I'm saying? It's always the way. And so that's the real cause. And that's the thing that I find most frustrating, is that when I look back, is the lost opportunity. Because we could have been a bigger band and made a bigger noise because we already were catapulted as we were to that position.
And organically,
I mean, to be fair, if you think of the genre of music that we're playing, it's rock. It's not rock. It's reggae.
It is, for sure.
And I know America struggled with reggae. I mean, now they kind of get it. But back then, in the
40
80s,
years later,
even the record company here struggled with it.
Yeah.
Because they were like, what do we do with this? We got this band. We were very successful worldwide.
Yeah.
And back then, you used to have to do an album.
Yeah.
A year later, you do another album.
Right.
They didn't give you
And
2 or
tour.
3 years. And,
And
well, we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
That was the problem. I said 48 dates. That 42
I mean,
could have
the thing that also catapulted us was that we did MTV.
Yes.
MTV helped,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
But we also did Saturday Night Live.
Oh, really?
With Joan Rivers.
Joan
Yeah.
Rivers.
Oh, with Joan Rivers. Okay.
Yeah.
It was so hot at the time.
That's right. And it was a new fledgling thing. I mean, it's
Yes.
people look at it now and go, yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
And those were the days when it was really legit, too.
Yeah.
Everybody played live.
Yeah, to play live. Yeah.
And everyone tuned in because
Yes.
the cast at that point was about the
Well,
biggest.
well, Eddie Murphy was in that.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yes.
That's
And
right.
he was probably hip to what you were doing, for sure.
Maybe. Yeah, well, he does a few reggae tunes now.
Yeah.
He's done a reggae album. And then I suppose we both, and you probably wouldn't know this, Kev, but they used to have the difference between East Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast.
Oh, yeah.
We were successful on both sides.
Yes.
I'm sure. Wow.
Yeah. And I don't even know what happened in the middle. It's only as we come on this tour, we see what's happening in the middle.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Well, I mean, it's there are a lot of people that I see. I see a ton of people wearing your merchandise.
Yeah.
They're really in the merchandise. One thing I love about this tour, everybody on the tour, every single member of the band, treat each other like family. It's a reunion thing. So there's no pretentious, there's no egos, right? But you guys are approachable. Like when I see you guys out, you intermingle with the crowd.
Yeah.
You're totally here to talk to fans. We're just
Listen.
we get it. But some people feel like, some bands might be unapproachable. They're intimidated to go up and talk to you. But you guys are like, you leave with a smile.
Yes,
And you're always,
Listen,
I'm just too short.
we grew up with this. We got no
And
choice.
also, really what, to cement what Dennis is saying and what you're saying, we are minding our own business.
Yeah.
Minding our own business, getting on with our life. And a 17-year-old girl calls me, her name's Ava, calls me and says, Mike, your song's on Stranger Things. I'm like, what the hell is Stranger Things?
The biggest thing on TV, you're right.
So that all of a sudden, from nowhere,
Yeah.
I got my little kids.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a thing.
Oh, here's some credibility right there, brother.
Listen,
yes.
I got my friends phoning me up going, my kids don't believe I know you.
Yeah.
And I go, I don't know you.
How fortunate, right? To have a new generation to discover.
That's right.
Video games and
There
TV
you go.
and movies.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of those kids were starved for real music. Right?
Yeah.
Especially now, AI is generating
Exactly.
everything.
That's right. Yeah.
And there's not real substantive
Yeah.
music. But, I mean,
Out of nowhere.
yeah.
And I don't know who chose it or
Well, I was going to
whatever.
ask you, do you have somebody out there with licensing?
No. Well, we've got our publishers,
Yeah.
but that's down to the production team from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine that Universal would have pushed it.
Sure.
Nobody
The
pushed
production
it.
people said, you know what we need for this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody in the writing room just said,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
the perfect
yeah,
song.
yeah.
That's it.
That's right.
I mean, and the mixture it's all to do. I mean, we had a lady say, I don't like you guys because you sing about drugs. I mean, like, hold on, we don't sing about drugs.
It's a cookie pot.
It's a cooking pot. We're not cooking pot.
Yes.
So let's get that straight.
Right.
Because that was what came out.
Right.
I heard that 20 years later.
I'm sure.
I rolled about laughing.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Yes.
How could anybody be thinking that? But then I met with Snoop and he was telling me I was just laughing.
So you met with Snoop?
I met Snoop, yeah.
We, Snoop was at a show did a handful of years ago at the Microsoft Theater, which is Peacock. We
That's
all did
right.
that. And I missed him. Yeah, I met his dad. His cousins got, or his brother's got a place. Uncle's got a barbecue joint where I live in Portland.
Yeah.
And I've always missed him.
Yeah.
But The Voice, the TV show in the U.S. My best friend's the house drummer for the show, and Snoop's now a judge on the show. And I said, how much time have you spent with Snoop? And he said, well, nobody spends a lot of time with Snoop, but everybody gets to hang with him, and every word that comes out of his mouth is a soundbite. Yeah. He can't help but just every word he says.
I took my 19-year-old son. I took him with me.
Yeah.
And he was like, he's looking at me. This is my dad.
Yeah, right.
But you see, I've got another claim to fame is that when I was living here, I lived here when I was 20. I spent my 21st birthday in Los Angeles.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And I went out to dinner. I was signed to Island Records at the time. I went out to dinner with NWA.
Oh, my goodness. No kidding.
Eazy-E,
Eazy-E.
Dr. Dre, Mello, and Q.
Wow.
2 hours in an Italian restaurant.
Oh my
with
goodness.
the A&R girl from, because they were trying to sign her to Ireland.
Yeah.
And she was trying to find out what NWA stood for, and they wouldn't tell her. 2 hours, they would not tell her nothing.
Really?
And she came out, she went, Dennis, I know it stands for no whites allowed. It was so funny.
Oh, man.
But that's how small, for me, it's just music.
Yeah. Well, were you working with Island? Like
I was signed to Island Records.
Independently as an artist?
Yes, as an artist, yeah.
Okay. That, were they expecting you to sort of capitalize on the history that you had with?
Well, it's also exploitation, isn't it?
Of course.
Listen,
It's about making money.
what you got to understand is, and somebody said this to me, it was a marketing person who said, what you got to understand is you're a product, and you need to slot into that, you know?
Yeah.
Snoop came in as a rapper, but he's now diversed into all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's now the acceptable face of
rap.
not just rap.
Listen, the Olympics.
Come on.
Next to the Duchess and
That's right.
He's a household name across every.
You got to respect that.
Absolutely.
Because he transcends.
He has transcended. I must admit, yes, you're right.
And you wonder if was that a calculated thing because Snoop's a business guy, or
it's business.
Is it just one of those things?
But it goes back to what I said. It's marketing.
Yeah.
Know your lane.
Right. Yeah.
We know for reggae, and here's the thing: when we got nominated for a Grammy Award, reggae was in the Grammys.
No.
We got nominated as best newcomers. Reggae wasn't even a thought process.
Best new artist.
Best new artist with Eurythmics, Big Country,
Culture Club.
Wow.
Yeah.
and there was one more somewhere in there. But Culture Club won it.
That's heavy company.
Yeah.
But back then, if you got a Grammy nomination, they'd pressure up another 100,000 albums saying Grammy nominated.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, Mike would know more about it. Because he's
he got one for best instrumental.
That's right.
Which is really funny. We don't even do it on the tour. You know?
But listen, don't knock it.
No, man, he's got it in his arsenal. We've held it before. Which is cool.
Man. We were there when Michael Jackson picked up the 8.
Wow.
We were there at that historical time.
You were there at the Grammys.
We were at the Grammys,
Cool is that?
and we saw Winter Marsalis pick up 2. And it was when Irving Azoff, and he was head of MC at the time. And he was rolling with Don King. And we were on the same row.
Wow.
Don King had just signed the Jacksons
That's
to
some danger,
the Victor
man.
Tour.
Really, man. You guys were deep in the family, man.
Literally, if I said, Don, come put us on tour, but the education would have said, no, bring him back.
Bring him back.
Did your families ever just say, you know what, we'll just take you out of school? We'll put you on
No, we discussed it. We were actually going to come here. But it didn't happen.
Are you happy about that choice?
It's not a choice we could make.
Yeah, okay.
It was out of our hands.
Well, I love that. Because we talked about the pandemic. That was the point for me when all of those things became clear. That there's so much out of our hands.
But that's what I'm saying.
You gotta
Exactly.
let go.
You got it. Right. So that's why I went back to the Stranger Things thing, because again, this is like a second bite of the cherry. So I went when we did the Commonwealth Games. Oh my gosh, it was in Birmingham.
The Commonwealth Games is for athletes in the Commonwealth. It's second behind. Well, third behind the World Championships. And the Olympics. So the Commonwealth Games, you know, the British Empire, right? Okay,
that's it.
So India used to be part of the British Empire. There's over 1 billion people there. Hong Kong, it's now part of China. Then you've got Australia. Then you've got the whole of the Caribbean.
And
we're at
South Africa as well.
Africa. And we did the closing ceremony when it was in Birmingham.
Wow.
This is bigger. It has a bigger viewing audience than the NFL.
Wow, unbelievable.
The Super Bowl. Because there's over 1 billion Indians.
Right, everybody's
and it was something like, they reckon it was 2 billion people watching.
Live?
Well, I was singing live.
But there's a backing track.
But them guys playing.
But they show wasn't pre-recorded. You actually did it. Cameras on.
It goes on.
Nobody's making mistakes.
I mean, we never had no media training. We were just plug. You see, like you said today, right? So we come in here today. You go. If there's any questions you don't want to answer, you don't have to. You're on the back. We weren't trained like that. We were never told, don't say this, don't say that. We just went and been ourselves.
Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, because when we get an opportunity to chat backstage, it's real talk, man. It's not superficial stuff. We all have families and we live our lives, man.
And we've all been ripped off.
Yeah.
I know.
What?
There's
No.
exactly. I never know about you guys. That I'm just going to stop talking.
Even the last hour.
Exactly.
I have, and I've carried this with me for the longest time. Right? Firstly, when we was recording the first album, our engineer Pete Hammond, he said to us, "What about the songwriting?" And I said to him, "Well, we all share the songwriting. So whoever writes the song, we share it 5 ways." He said, "All right," and he said, "Wow, blah blah." We were thinking like that. And then what he said to me was, "I just got to tell you this: where there's a hit, there's a writ." And nothing could be should have said.
Yeah, man.
I'm talking.
With some
I was 15 years old.
Yeah,
that's over 40 years ago.
That's right.
And it's still true today. And but you know what? There's no musician, successful musician, or any musician who's made any kind of headway in this industry that's never been ripped off.
That's the truth, man.
And if they tell you they haven't been ripped off, they don't know it.
Or they have never ripped off. Yeah.
They don't know it.
They don't know it.
They don't know. They don't know. They have.
Yeah,
They don't know.
They don't know it yet.
I did a 25-year-old son who's a hip hop artist.
Yeah.
New record coming out in about 4 hours, actually. It already hit Spotify, YouTube, hit Apple Music tonight. And he hasn't been signed. It's all independent stuff. We talked about this a lot. He actually had to sit down with Dre's team at the Aftermath down in LA. He said, "Dad, there's contract stuff on the table." And I said, "You're welcome to send it to me, but I'm not going to be the one that tells you what to write on this thing." I said, "If you want to talk to the attorney, I can get you some of those people. I suggest you don't sign anything."
That's right.
When you leave that room, you leave no signature on any piece of paper.
Not at all.
But I mean, I told him too. I said, "You know what? You will be ripped off eventually. And if you get ripped off and you have a hit and you don't capitalize off that hit, you still had a hit." And that's the thing, right?
But that's the thing, because we can still tour on that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. Do not do.
Come in. This is our dressing room. Hey, how you doing? Hey, we're doing a live podcast right now.
Live podcast.
Can you leave it just right here and I'll come find you?
Yeah, there's one shirt I couldn't get.
That will deal. That's all good. Alan, thank you very much. I like your heavy metal sticker there. That looks good.
It's been working everywhere.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it gets you lots of cred. The ladies want signatures. I'll give you a Sharpie if you need. Thanks, buddy. All right. So speaking of merchandise, right? So that's the guy that handles all the merchandise today. Greg Ross has Vision Merch, and he does an amazing job with the Lost 80s Live stuff. Right?
Yes.
We didn't talk a lot about Lost 80s Live, but right now we're at Mountain Winery. 5th tour of this 6-day run in California.
That's right.
Is there a special spot anywhere? Is there a favorite spot of your guys?
Actually, like Mountain Winery.
Yeah.
Last night's gig was good.
Last night was amazing.
That's a Roble.
They had that Vino Robles out there. Perfect night. A lot of beautiful people there.
And Peacock Theatre was kind of different again.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Again, for us, this is like, I wouldn't call it a second chance. It's something we've done all our life.
Yeah,
exactly.
We could play in a pub.
Yeah. And be perfectly happy because I can see people that way. Well, okay, so aside from that, between the time that all the success was happening and the time that Lost 80s Live pops around, what are you guys doing?
Well, Michael,
I now live in Canada. So I
teach. What part?
A place called Kincardine, but it's about 2.5 hours drive from Toronto.
Okay. East or west? Or north? West?
West.
Okay, past London. Keep going.
Just past London. Just past London. That's right. Yeah. Just going there. And all my Canadian friends are gonna be like, "Are you kidding me? It's actually east." But anyways, the point I'm saying is that
it's
beautiful. But what I'm saying is that so I teach now, and lots of students, great students, whatever, and I do music, and I just try to inspire them and stuff. But I enjoy that. And then this guy comes to me and says, "Okay, I know this tour," and every summer I'm that. Last concert was on that tour.
He gets out of looking after his 2 twin boys. And his son has got 3 boys under 10, all under 10, and he leaves them with his wife.
Yeah.
He's a terrible man.
Exactly.
He's a terrible man.
Well, honestly, we are so fortunate.
Yeah, listen,
right?
Playing music ain't.
Yeah, but
you know how the song goes. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb.
There's a lot to that. That song.
I should have learned to play the guitar.
Dire Straits knew what they were doing, man.
Yeah, I mean, kids now, we as a band wanted to inspire young kids to play.
Yeah.
And as we travel and with the internet, and people just come out and say, "You're the reason why we listen to reggae.
Yeah.
Yes,
You're the reason why we learned how we learn English.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 listening to your records." And it's so humbling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that? There's a humbling story I want to say. When I moved to Canada, and there's a small where I live, King Hart, you'd have thought this is the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's got one street. You know, the Western. It's not Western with the what's it called?
Tumbleweed. Yeah.
It's one street, main street, and the rest of it's just out of town. So that's the basically King Hart where I live. So I'm there, and a friend of mine says, well, he's actually my neighbor, and he because Canada's so big, it's like, and my neighbor's like, it's like 100 meters away.
Sure.
Anyway, so he calls me over one day, and we're having a drink at his bar because they got this really nice bar. And he's like, so what do you do? And I said, I play music. And he says, okay, thinking I'm going to say some obscure band. He says, so if you had a hit or anything, I said, yeah, I have actually. And he said, well, name the hit. And I said, Pastor Dutchie. And he was like, no. And Johnny said, no.
That happens to you all the time, doesn't it?
The thing is, how is it that this guy in the middle of nowhere can know this song?
Yeah.
It is the most humbling thing ever. Listen, billions of songs are released each year.
Yeah.
Well, maybe millions, but are released each year. And through the out of time, the amount of songs, there's more songs that has been released than we'll ever know.
Sure. Yeah.
And yet still, this one particular song has gone worldwide so that you can meet people and people can say, yes, I've heard that song.
Yeah.
It's humbling beyond
you can see humbling, and I can see gratitude is a big part of this, man. You guys recognize it.
You have to.
Some people take it for granted. They do, man. I mean,
but you see, back when the single was released, remember, they didn't sit here on a computer and upload the song.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to physically get up, go to the shop, buy it, bring it back home, and put it on a record player.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There's a whole different. I told Dave on the tour here. I said I used to pour myself over that wow.
Yeah.
I knew every song.
Yeah.
I knew all the producers. I knew who was playing what.
You done deep.
Man. Trust me, I used to read all them notes.
Unlike today, where a DJ is on the radio, today the problem we have, and this is the only sad thing, is that if you like just one genre, in fact, if you like just one artist, you can just listen to that one artist all day. They've got a Bob Marley radio station, they've got a Beatles radio station. So I think we're going backwards, because in those days, the DJ would play everything, the DJ on the radio would play everything. Yeah. And so you get an eclectic mix, so you'd know everybody's song, whether you like U2, whether you like the Police, whether you like Musical Youth, whether you like Bob Marley.
Out here, they got a better choice.
No, but no, I think it's the opposite, because you go into Sirius FM or
Sirius XM.
Yeah. You just listen to the artist you like. Unless you tune into a specific DJ, you just listen to the artist.
Yeah.
And a lot of my kids, they just listen to what they like, so they don't get the expansion of hearing different types of music.
That's a good point.
I play classical piano because my mom asked me to play that. Yeah. I can put on a classical station and just play classical music, and that's great. But it doesn't expand my knowledge of music. So what I'm saying is, at the time when we were growing up, everybody knew everybody, which is what's happening on tour. And the reason why the 80s will always work is because we all grew up listening to each other.
Right, that's true.
This won't happen in 24. You get 10 bands together in 24, they won't know who you are.
Well, that's true.
Because all they're going to know is that style.
They're buried in their phones.
Exactly. It's just K-pop, or it's just this, or it's just that. And they won't know anybody else but themselves. And then you go out.
It's a great lineup. There's a real diversity of music. And,
you know us, we know you, because we have no choice.
Thank goodness. And you have to hang out with me.
It's like, this is all they're playing on the radio. One DJ will play that song. And
John Peel was the one in the UK.
That's what I'm saying.
Who played all them.
Well, you know what? That was for a lot of the artists that are on this. For us too. I know WLAR in Long Island was one big one, and then of course KLOS in LA. Those were the two that were building a lot of the artists in the 80s.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of bands that are on this Lost 80s tour. Yeah. You mentioned that you've been teaching, and for you, what did you do in the span of time between the time that you did you had the second record out, then you had your time with Island Records, and then what were you doing between then and now?
Growing my family.
Yeah. How many kids?
I got 3 kids with my wife and 1 outside my wife, and I've got 4 altogether.
4 kids. Wow.
Well, they're not kids now. They're adults now. The youngest is 22.
I'm the one that started late.
Yeah.
My son plays trumpet. He plays in the band with me when I'm in England.
Yeah.
But he plays in other bands as well. So he's probably one of the only. I wouldn't say he's got into the music industry, but he performs.
Sure.
That's what he did his degree in.
It's great that you guys both have had an opportunity to experience everything in the biz, and be able to
Yeah.
talk to your kids and say, all right, here's some pitfalls to avoid.
Well, no, we don't have to, because if you know, at the end of the day, you have to let them live their life. My kids, unless they ask me, I say nothing.
Really?
I didn't put my gold discs up on the wall for 18 years.
Sure.
They've
Really?
stayed up in the.
That's why they're all surprised when, like, you sit down with Snoop and they're thinking, wait, who's this guy, man?
Yeah. It's. I mean, you know, you speak to professional athletes. Some of them will say, "I don't even know what some more stuff is."
Yeah.
But it's something we did, and it has no bearing on how you are as a person. It just means that you've had another situation.
Yeah.
It's like I train people.
Yeah.
I train people in working at height, and I'll be with them for minimum 6 hours.
Okay.
And all I am to them is the instructor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, we've been together for 5.5 hours, and then they'll go, "Were you in that band music?" I look at them and I go, "Well, who told you?"
Yeah.
Who told? Because somebody must have told them.
And they wait that whole time to ask you. Wow.
Well, they could ask me in the morning.
Sure,
It has no bearing on this situation.
Maybe they were just sussing things out, thinking, is this really the guy?
Well, some of them don't. They're too young.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
A lot
right?
of them are.
Remember, we're a generation in now.
Yeah.
That's right.
And unless you know the band, it's when people go, "Which one were you?" And I look at them and think, "Well, you don't know the band, do you?"
Right, yeah.
Because I always wear glasses and I always wear green.
Yeah. Oh,
He always used to wear yellow.
that's the brand. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
see?
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Right.
And the best thing about it is, as much as we do this, we know that the rubber has to hit the road somewhere.
Sure. Yes.
I don't need somebody to come and tell me, "Look, you got to get to the gig."
Yeah.
I can get to the gig.
Yeah.
I don't need somebody to come and tell me, "You got to do this." I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to turn up on time. If you don't turn up on time, that's it, mate.
Yeah. Well,
It's music.
yeah.
You can't turn up here 2 hours late.
No.
Yeah, there'll be no gig.
That's the truth. Well, this many bands too, right? That's a well-oiled machine.
But these guys know.
Yeah.
They've been on tour.
Yeah. Right.
There's not. Listen, if you spoke to any one of these bands and says, "In all your days of touring, what do you regret the most in terms of how you behaved?" And I always say, you got to look after the crew.
Yes.
Always look. No gig in the world happens without your crew.
Amen. Yes, sir.
Trust me.
Yeah.
We've known that since we were 15 and 13.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. I always thank the guys at the end of the night.
Oh,
We
yes,
always
sir.
do. Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
My best friend,
Yeah.
when I'm on stage,
Yeah.
monitor man.
Absolutely, man. If
Front of us could do nothing for me.
if you piss the monitor guy out before the show,
Trust me.
show's over, man. Yes.
As a vocalist,
Yeah.
as a vocalist,
Yeah.
you know, I had a discussion with Rob last year, and he said, "You can't do that." I said, "Rob, I would never. How dare you? I would never curse out the crew
Yeah.
and the production.
Yeah.
No way.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
That's not me.
They're-
That's not the guy you're
they're
talking
setting the
to.
table for you, man.
I expect me to do my job,
Yeah.
and I expect them to do their job.
That's right, man.
I can't control what they're doing when I'm
Yeah.
on stage.
Again, man, looking at you, the Serenity Prayer, bro.
And I
That's
will
it,
not stand there and go, "Give me more monitors."
Yeah.
No. I'll try and get a message across.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stand there and go, "I can't hear myself."
Yeah. Well, all that does is breed negativity, and from the audience standpoint,
They know nothing about it.
Yeah, they just think this guy's an asshole.
Yes,
And
that's
really,
right.
that's
Exactly.
like,
Unfortunately, Fat Man Snoop, he passed away on stage. He was performing.
yeah.
You can bet somebody in the audience thought that was part of the show.
Oh, yeah, that's really brutal.
That's music. That's entertainment for you.
That's crazy.
Nobody knows the mistakes we make.
Yeah, right. That's true.
They're not supposed to
Thank
know.
goodness, yes.
I haven't done a perfect show yet.
Sure, nobody has. Nobody has.
If I do a perfect show, I ain't doing it anymore.
Yeah, right.
But you see, when you talk about the seriously, you see, you talk about the pandemic. I loved it because we spent all our time between two rooms. It was either the control room or the recording
Really?
studio.
So you just said that we're being productive musically.
Listen,
That's cool.
you know, for me, I love my house. Like people, I'm building this brick shed in my back garden. People say, "Is it going to be a man cave?" No, it's going to be a shed.
Yeah.
My man cave is my house.
Yeah.
I love every room in my house.
That's beautiful.
I don't mind being in my house.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't have to be out to enjoy it. I can be in my house and enjoy myself. The difference now, when we had the pandemic, you got so many stuff
right.
to help you out.
Right.
You know, some people couldn't deal with it because they weren't able to go out.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I mean, same here. I have to echo that, although I do have a man cave in my house.
Yeah.
So what happened was...
You can do that in Canada.
You can. Oh, my God. So we were used to like
belts. No.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry. I'm sorry, man. Canada
It's
joke.
crazy. No, it's all I'm saying is that we bought a house, and honestly, it's like a mansion, except in Canada. It's like tiny in Canada, but to us, it's like a mansion because we used to like small places.
Well, we grew up.
Yeah.
You see the streets. You see the streets in England. You know what they're
I
like.
can imagine going to Canada and we got this basement, and I was like, oh my God. And so I built a studio and a bar in my little man cave. So you come to my house now, and the only thing I don't have in there is a TV. Because everywhere's a TV, my kids are there. So we got a TV in the basement for them. Right. I've got my man cave in my basement where I can close my door, and I've got my bar, I got my studio, I got stairs, I got 3 other bedrooms, and my wife has her office. She's got an office too, a little cave too. So we're all living so comfortably. And I have to say that because when the pandemic came, we were happy. Yeah. We were like, oh my God, this is in because we had the space. That's because a lot of people, as you know, live in, townhouses or live in apartments. Yeah. Tate's house. Can you imagine living in an apartment where there's no room? Right. And just you with each other for 24 hours? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so my wife's a divorce lawyer. She made so much money through the pandemic because everybody was divorcing each other. Oh, it's crazy. Isn't that sad? It is sad. For her, but it's really sad. Yeah. Because people couldn't live together. It's like, and you don't realize that until you gotta live with someone for 24 hours. You're like, oh my God, you really like this?
It's a good relationship test for sure. Yeah, definitely. And the backline people, Casey and Amy had here, they actually met a month before the pandemic, and so that actually brought them together when they actually got married. So kudos to them.
Listen, as I say, I love doing these festivals where you see all the different artists. Yeah, because you see the different quirks and how people are backstage. Some people have to focus. Yeah, me, I could chat to you right till I'm going on stage.
I love it, man. Yeah, that's what I said.
It was. I don't have to sit in a room and go. I always get told off because they say I don't warm up enough. Yeah. Well, me talking warms me up.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the words are warm. You're getting
exactly. But it doesn't eat before we go on stage.
I try not to. Yeah. Because my diaphragm just.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. It's it's tough, right, to eat well on the road when they have catering at some places. It's really if they have kind of real fatty foods or fried food. But one common thread that I had with a lot of guests on the show was talking about their favorite catering, like where their favorite spot was.
I'm not saying.
You know, I'm not saying. Well, this place in particular is really good. They really do well. At Mountain Winery,
San Diego.
Yeah, Humphreys is
not bad.
You love that one. Fiddler's Green in Denver.
Yeah, Fiddler's Green.
My favorite thing. They had that big Mexican family that they put together such a huge home cooked spread. Yeah. That was cool, man.
What about the Bonnet Frio? The Bonnet Frio, it was steaks. Was it ribs?
I think it was. Yeah,
ribs.
Yep. Yeah.
At that time we had a vegan bass player.
Oh wow! So that's tough when you only have ribs. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're gonna have no tofu for you.
That's right. You didn't even have tofu.
No, that's true.
Again, because we couldn't tour like that, for us, we just get on with it.
Yeah. Well,
I said to Rob, I'm the type of person. If I'm not happy with your catering, I won't go and moan about it. I'll just go out and buy something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that was fortunate that we were adults now. You couldn't do that when you were 12. Right? So
we weren't allowed. I mean, again, as I said, our crew used to love crewing us because we had to be off stage by 10:30.
Sure, yeah.
So they had the whole night to go
by 11.
Yeah, we were off stage. Yeah. I think we did a gig where they actually turned the power off.
Really?
Because it was a curfew.
Oh, you guys got to.
We were playing and it was just jing.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Man. Oh my God.
And it was, again, we get to sample. We go from. We talk about organic. We've gone from, I wouldn't say the lowest. It's where you start. Yeah. And you take it, and then you maintain it. Yeah. But you've got to. How can I say? You have to have the enthusiasm. If you don't enjoy it. Yeah. I tell my kids, if you don't enjoy doing whatever you're doing, don't do it.
Yeah, honestly, as a parent, the best advice you can give your kid. Yeah. Because we all know people that just can't stand what they do, but they stay in it. They're afraid.
It's not good for you.
Yeah.
It's not good for you. Yeah. I tell them to live to be happy.
Yes.
People say, don't you want to be a millionaire? No, I just want to be able to afford what I need to afford.
We all know a lot of unhappy millionaires.
Oh, of course. Listen.
But let me just put this straight. in my opinion, anyway, just my opinion, but yeah, you don't want to be wealthy, or you do. It's up to you. But the thing is, I find is that I would much rather be living like this than like that.
Sure.
I see a lot of poor people. You know, we travel around. The other day we were in Los Angeles, and just around the corner from where we were playing, the Peacock. You know, we saw homeless.
Of course.
And I'm like, and the amount of food we saw, it was like, that was actually in the Peacock.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hope that they just give this to the poor people.
But that's not the Peacock's problem.
No, it's not their problem.
But you
what I'm
see
saying,
the difference between what we have,
the force we do.
Given the choice is what I'm saying. You know, money does not make you happy, but the lack of it will cause a whole new, you know what I'm saying, you know, depression, all kinds of stuff. So I'm just happy that I can live comfortably with my family, and they don't have to.
So
we're not living paycheck to paycheck.
You're not taking anything for granted. I mean, again,
that's what I'm saying.
We're talking gratitude. We're talking about respect for where the business is.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people that do take those things for granted might put themselves in a position where they, you know, they don't get the benefit of having comfort. And, you know, I mean, really, they're just so caught up in so I do see you guys being very, very just comfortable in the stage, comfortable with the crowd and the environment. And what comes next, we don't know, right? So,
I mean, we'll always be recording.
We'll always be playing music.
We'll always play music.
I don't know. And we're on tour now, and the tour's coming to an end. I'm going to make sure I have the best time without upsetting anybody. You know what I'm saying?
So don't come down to upset anybody.
No, of course.
And we only do a little bit. We do a 15-minute slot. But we make sure that we have the best time in that 15 minutes.
Absolutely, man.
And if you're not having the best time, go home.
Yeah, buddy. And here's the thing. Of the thousands of people that are coming out to these shows, man, that 15 minutes that they get to spend with you guys, it's a real meaningful part of it.
Of course. It's so humbling.
They take that home with them. They're singing the songs. They hit their head on the pillow that night, and those songs are stuck in their head. And they're thinking about what they experienced with you on stage. It's a very synergistic thing, man. We share the energy. You know? So we're very fortunate.
Just another nugget that I had since I was 15. We capture time. When we're recording, we capture time. You know, I see. We didn't really know Stacey King. It's only when we come out here.
What a lovely woman.
Listen,
incredible.
She's so lovely,
isn't she? Yeah, man.
You know, I'm out there with Early yesterday, and this guy says, "I was 17." And I'm 53 now.
But she was everything to him.
Oh, man. I just looked at her and I said, do you see what you've done? You see what you've done to this man?
What a gift. What a gift, man. We really are blessed with gifts, bro.
Of course.
Yeah, man. I had her on the show yesterday, and I got to more time, you know, to just get to know who she was behind the stage. Right?
That's what I'm saying. And because ultimately, your legacy should outlive you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we want, you know, and that's what I want for us as musical youth. That years later, our kids can say, and our grandkids can say, oh my gosh, you know, this is what our granddad did, this is what, you know what I'm saying? Just like people have fond memories of, you know, you go back to Michael Jackson, you go back to Prince, and people always say, I was in his band, I played, but we would like the same thing, to be able to people to say, yes, I remember that band. And so I try my best, even now, is that the last thing you want people to say, oh, God, do you remember that band? Oh, really? They were an absolute nightmare. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a legacy that we're making right now. So we go there with, and that's what I'm looking at, you know, not just for today, but just so my kids can hold their head up high. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm not political on you right now, but I know there's going to be a lot of people and their kids are going to have to hold their head and shame because they, you know what I'm saying? Because of how they talk. You know, because I'm looking at the world right now. And we used to have what I call decency. You could talk to people, and now we've got to the point where it's all vulgar.
It's gotten that way.
It's all vulgar. Us musicians have always been,
you know what I'm saying,
in a different kind of. So we're perfectionists for musicians.
But you know what I'm saying? So let me tell you, and to your point, one of my favorite sayings on the planet, another Canadian, Jim Carrey. It's a viral cloud that's going all over the internet, but he was giving a keynote speech to these marketing students, right, at Stanford University. And their job as the marketing students, they're going to go out and learn how to make money. But he said, the important thing I want you guys to know, the most valuable currency on earth that there is the effect you have on others, right? And so when you leave and you talk about the legacy, and I ask people this a lot, well, what do you want people to remember you for? And sometimes it sounds like it's a really stuffy comment, and like I think about how, you know, but ultimately, that is kind of our responsibility, right? Is to leave this planet
better than when you left.
Amen.
And so
Yes.
I just say the last thing. The
Yeah.
last thing then is
Go on
this.
then, try.
The last thing is this.
See if I can.
It's
See if I
very
can.
simple.
Go on then.
Whoever you meet, they're either an example or a warning. Somebody you want to be, or a warning that you do not be that person. That's it. Keep it simple. Let's not make it complicated.
That's good.
That thing, that person is either an example or a warning. And I tell my boys that do not get hyper and say, oh my God, this, and get off, use all kinds of different words. Oh, he's myopic, and and this, use all these words that you can't explain, these big words. Just make it simple.
Yeah.
Is that person an example which somebody I want to live like, or is that person a warning, someone I do not want in my life?
Man, parenting 101 right there. Your job is done.
Done.
Job is done.
Done. And you, boy.
Yeah, man.
Your son's 25, right?
25 and 22. Yep, and both of
There
those
you go.
boys have for
He's new to this thing, man.
Yeah.
He's new to this
And
thing.
you have anything on top of that you want to impart?
I just go with him.
That's beautiful. Gentlemen,
Young dad.
I'm grateful. I really am, man. I love you guys. I'm so grateful. In a few
He's
minutes,
always giving me a big hug,
I do.
He won't accept no handshake. He very rarely accepts a handshake.
only because I'm not going to get on camera to hug you guys. But I am grateful, man. I count my blessings, man. That we're here doing what we do.
There you go.
Musical Youth, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
If you came here, you missed a good one. Go back to the beginning. Do me a favor. Go to this right below. Go to youtube.com/all@accesskevin. Subscribe to the channel. Like it. You can become a member if you want to become a member. It's cheap. It's cheaper than a cup of coffee. And it'll give you access to some of the things that everybody else doesn't get, like certain videos that are only accessible to members. I've got some merchandise and some giveaways. And this is a perfect time to wrap up because they are starting this show right now. So, Musical Youth, thank you guys very much.
Thank you,
and you guys have a beautiful day. Be good humans.